You ever notice how some people seem sharp, thoughtful, and perceptive, yet quietly struggle in ways no one really talks about? Not obvious struggles, not visible ones, but internal ones. The kind you don't post about. Psychology suggests that higher intelligence doesn't just change how you think, it changes how you experience life. And many of the difficulties that come with it are misunderstood, even by the people living with them. Let's look at 8 struggles that highly intelligent people often recognize instantly once they're finally put into words. Most people assume intelligence makes life easier. In some ways, it does. But psychology shows it also adds layers. Layers of awareness, sensitivity, and complexity that don't always feel like an advantage. And the first struggle usually shows up early. 1. You think faster than the world around you moves. Highly intelligent people often experience what psychologists call asynchronous processing. Your mind connects ideas quickly, anticipates outcomes, and runs multiple scenarios at once. But conversations, decisions, and systems around you move at a slower pace. This can feel frustrating, isolating, or even boring. You're not impatient by nature. Your mind is simply ahead of the current moment. And when your thoughts outpace your environment, you can start to feel out of sync with people who don't even realize there's more happening beneath the surface. That mismatch often leads to the next struggle. 2. You overanalyze simple situations, not because you want to, but because your brain is wired to search for patterns, causes, and meaning. Psychology refers to this as high cognitive reflection. Intelligent people are less likely to accept the first explanation that comes to mind. You question tone, timing, intention, and context. While this leads to deeper understanding, it can also create mental fatigue. Decisions that seem simple to others can feel heavy to you because you see all the variables at once. And that constant analysis doesn't always switch off when you want it to. Over time, that depth of thought affects how you relate to others. 3. You feel misunderstood more often than you expect. Not because you can't communicate, but because you think in abstractions. Intelligent minds tend to compress complex ideas into subtle statements. You assume others see the same connections you do. Psychology calls this the curse of knowledge. When you understand something deeply, it becomes hard to remember what it's like not to see it. This can lead to conversations where you feel unheard, misread, or oversimplified. And after enough of those moments, you may start explaining less, not more. That withdrawal connects to another quiet struggle. 4. You become selective with social energy. Research from the British Journal of Psychology suggests that highly intelligent individuals often feel less satisfaction from constant socializing. It's not antisocial behavior. It's cognitive economy. Your mind values depth over frequency. Small talk can feel draining, not because it's meaningless, but because it doesn't engage the parts of your brain that feel most alive. You may enjoy people deeply, but only in the right context. And when that context is missing, solitude becomes restorative rather than lonely. But solitude has its own consequences. 5. You spend a lot of time inside your own head. Intelligent people are more prone to introspection. Psychology links this to metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. You reflect on past conversations, replay decisions, and examine your own motivations. This self-awareness can foster growth, but it can also blur the line between reflection and rumination. You don't just experience emotions, you analyze them. And sometimes that analysis makes feelings last longer than they need to. This heightened awareness also affects how you see the world. 6. You notice contradictions others ignore. Intelligent people are sensitive to inconsistencies in logic, behavior, and systems. You see when words don't match actions, when rules don't align with outcomes. Psychology associates this with complex reasoning and pattern detection. The downside is that once you see these gaps, you can't unsee them. This can lead to cynicism or quiet frustration, especially in environments where questioning is discouraged. You're not trying to be difficult. You're responding to what doesn't add up. That awareness often turns inward. 7. You doubt yourself more than people expect. This surprises many, but studies show that higher intelligence is often linked to intellectual humility. You're aware of how much you don't know. Psychologists contrast this with the Dunning-Kruger effect, where lower ability leads to overconfidence. You question your conclusions, revisit assumptions, and leave room for uncertainty. While this keeps you accurate and open-minded, it can also look like hesitation. Even when you're capable, you may pause longer than others before speaking or acting. All of this builds toward the final struggle. 8. You feel like you don't fully belong anywhere. Highly intelligent people often sit between groups, too analytical for some spaces, too emotional for others, too curious, too quiet, too intense, or too detached, depending on the room. Psychology suggests that when your internal world is complex, external categories can feel limiting. You may adapt easily, but still feel slightly out of place. Not because you lack connection, but because your mind doesn't settle neatly into simple identities. Here's the unifying truth behind all of these struggles. Intelligence amplifies experience. It deepens perception, accelerates thought, and widens emotional range. But amplification cuts both ways. The same traits that allow insight also increase sensitivity. The same awareness that creates understanding also creates friction. Intelligence isn't just about thinking better. It's about feeling more, noticing more, and carrying more complexity at once. If you recognize yourself in these patterns, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your mind operates at a different depth, and that depth comes with both clarity and weight. Take a moment and think about which of these struggles felt most familiar. Not the one you talk about, the one you quietly live with. If you feel comfortable, share it in the comments. And if you enjoy understanding the psychology behind thoughts and behaviors that often go unexplained, you might want to subscribe, because in the next video, we'll explore why highly intelligent people often become quieter over time, and what that silence actually means.